nice Wednesday night. What do we
Yes,
got?
it is.
We can drink to that.
Absolutely.
We can drink to that, right, Billy?
Absolutely.
I can drink to anything.
There you go.
It doesn't take much, right?
All right. Welcome to the show, Bill Mattis.
Yes.
Thank you. It's always great to be here. It must have been a slow night for guests, huh?
I checked with 12 other people, and everyone said no.
Yeah.
So
That's
you were
about right.
you were my 13th choice.
All right.
Lucky
I'm okay.
There's no coaching duties today for you.
No. They're on spring break, so I'm okay.
Oh, there you go.
All right. For those, it's early, so we have a late arriving crowd. But it's This Fan's View, brought to you by City Distilling. We're all nestled in our everybody but John. John's at the store.
Yep.
John likes working at the store.
Yeah.
Does John lock the door at the store, or does he let people come in and shop?
I don't know. Are you still letting people in?
Well, I had to pay admission for coming onto the show if they would want to do that.
Right.
So,
Especially with the high-profile guest.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, quick introduction, and I'm not gonna take up a whole lot of time because Bill goes way back in time. He's been doing podcasts and sports shows going back how many years?
Oh, Sports Central was 1990 or so. Yeah.
There you go. 30
It's
years.
a long time.
Right.
It's a long time. And
I also wrote for the Suburban and Wayne Times, 1978 and 79. How about that?
You're a graduate of where? High school?
Radnor High School.
Radnor High School.
Yeah.
Your grandfather was the coach.
One of the all-time greatest coaches at Lower Merion, which is arch rivals. Yes. So it's a unique situation.
Very.
Well, ironically, the other all-time great coach is a guy named Fritz Brennan. Fritz came after my grandfather at Lower Merion, and Fritz, he's the one that has the statue outside the field there at Lower Merion, and his grandson Johnny also played at Radnor.
Wow, very cool.
Radnor Lower Merion connection, huh?
That's right.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. So from Radnor, you went to Pitt,
University of Pittsburgh. I went to the Bradford campus. Played baseball for 5 years there. Majored in beer, women, and baseball. Not necessarily in that order. That's also
probably pretty close.
Also where I met my wife, who we have now been married since 1986. That's it's going to be 26 years. I wish I could still go back to college at this point. Really, it was so much fun.
It's 36 years, right?
36 years, yes. 36. Did I say 26?
36, not 26.
It seems like 26.
We all like to roll over a decade, right?
Oh, sure. Right.
Very cool. Well, welcome to the show. You're a big supporter, ambassador. You're our go-to guy a lot of weeks when we need different guests and we need to reassign dates. And you're always there for us. So we certainly appreciate all of that.
No problem.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, you've been, you and I go way back, and I know I'd like to keep talking about it because it's important to me, not only in the sports card business, the autograph business, just life in general. Mm-hmm. We go back and, we've been friends a long time. And it's funny because the store, I'll take John, for example. John walked in one day in the pouring down rain. I forget what signing it was. John, do you remember?
It was the Jason Kelsey one, actually.
Jason Kelsey signing. We were, we shut down Havertown, and John offered to help, help Sue out, with the PayPal orders and getting people their tickets and processed I don't know, 1,000 people that night, John.
Yeah, it was a long crowd. It was a big
And
crowd.
John, John just jumped in and he's been on board with Carl's Cards ever since. So this is where the relationships begin. Hopefully, never end.
Absolutely.
It's been a good ride, and here we are. This fan's view. Mario and I started this thing, I don't know, 3 years ago on a whim. We had no idea. We had no idea what we were doing or where it was going. Mario, since moved down to Sarasota. He's holding down the fort down there, working for the Sarasota Hospital. I'm not sure I have the right name, but he's taken on a lot of responsibility down there. John jumped on with us, thank God, because I don't know where it would be, without that, because him and I have kind of pieced this thing together. Excuse me. Taking it on the road a couple times a month. The other 2 weeks, we're doing a Zoom show with guests. Lauren and Anthony. Lauren's got an event tonight at a mini pints event tonight. Anthony's got a game in Reading, and like I said, Mario's got he's pulling double duty at the hospital.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's been a great ride for us. We had a phenomenal show last week out at Dagwoods with Bernie Perrant. John, I didn't get a chance because I just got the email from Scott at the Ed Snyder Foundation that the $2,500 that we raised, they double it, so they kick in $5,000, so it's actually $7,500.
Oh wow,
that goes towards the Ed Snyder Foundation. So,
wow,
pretty cool stuff.
that is. It gave me chills. Here's your chills.
Pretty cool stuff, knowing that you're tied into the old Flyers organization, with the Ed Snyder Foundation, and now the hockey for the kids in the city. Pretty cool. And I didn't get a chance to talk to Scott, but we're at Hanrahan's next week, and our guest will be Lou Nolan. And again, next week, we're going to roll the raffle money and all the special money that we raise will also go to the Ed Snyder youth hockey. So before I write that check, we'll see where we're at. So I only have to write one check, knowing that it's going to a great cause.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And for those of you that jumped in last week, Jeannie threw out a dinner for $1,000 for a party of 6, which is going to take place this Sunday. Our good friends Gail and Ryan Hannigan jumped in and graciously, took us up or took her up on that offer. So that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool. The place was packed. So, yeah.
Well, as always, too, we'll tease it a little bit. This fan's view always has the little special items, so you'll have a special Lou Nolan item for that Wednesday next week for the show that'll be exclusive to this fan's view and Carl's Cards.
Yep.
So
sure.
Make sure you come out, and one of a kind thing. You have never seen it before, so come on out and help a great cause with the Snyder Foundation. Yep. So
yeah, I'm hearing some of the comments online here. Ed Snyder, he's one of a kind, right? He's a one of a kind owner.
Exactly.
With the day and age of sports, going corporate and how everything has aligned, we'll probably never see another owner like that. Bill, your thoughts?
Well, he certainly's missed. The way the team has gone since he left has been kind of a demise, to say the least. But yeah, I don't know that you're ever going to see anybody like that. The Flyers were his life, and pretty much anything associated with him, for the most part, is not there anymore. And I understand, times change and corporations take over and things like that, but that doesn't mean you can't miss the old days and the way that he was dedicated to not only the team, the organization, the players, but also to the fans. And I see that missing quite a bit. So,
Yeah, John, your thoughts?
I just think it's pretty cool how the whole story with it, when Jeannie was talking about it, saying that he endowed it or willed it, in his will that to double up had the foresight of that, to be like, all right, if there's anything that's charity related, it's going to be doubled from his estate and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And
Yeah, she opened our eyes with that for sure. And then, like
yeah,
I said, Scott, um, you know, I was thinking our 1,500 turned into our 2,500 turned into 5,000.
that's
Well,
what I thought.
it turned into 7,500, which is extremely cool.
Right.
Um, and talking Flyers hockey, the negative side of life takes us to the head trainer and one of the other trainers coming
hmm
down with cancer, due to the Zamboni
Chemicals or
uh,
something.
chemicals over at Voorhees. So there's some major issues there with possible lawsuit. Um,
hmm
Nick asks, are they still employed? I have no idea. I'm just hearing about this the other day for the first time. Apparently, I guess their offices were pretty close to where the Zamboni came in and out, and maybe some of the gases exposed them to some possible cancer cells. Uh, Farthest thing from a doctor, so I have no
Right.
idea. I have no idea. Yeah, McCrossan and Rafa. You know, we wish them the best and hope for the best for everybody.
hmm
Um, I'm not quite sure all the particulars, and I'd really like to just leave it out there and not assume anything until all the facts are out there. But yeah, moving on. The Flyers are what are they, about 6 games left of the season, and
Yeah.
that horrible year will come to an end. Guys, got any thoughts on what they do? Coach, general manager, players.
John?
I think they're going to turn it all over. Start over from scratch, and it's going to get a new coach, definitely. Hopefully, we when we were talking with Bernie, maybe hopefully he's got a little bit of insight. Maybe Rick Tockett's the guy. That'd be nice to see Tockett being here. And then maybe something with Briere with the GM spot as well, taking a little bit bigger role. So yeah, we're gonna need some cleaning house. Get some help here for Carter Hart. In goal. So I think he's a good spot to start from, a good piece. So we'll see.
The only problem with rebuilding as many times as they have is that every time that you do it, it's basically starting over again. And it creates an environment where players don't know what their roles are. Players don't know if they're going to be around or not. It creates a situation where you have no foundation, and sometimes it's better just to stick with what you got. But I do believe that they are going to make some big changes, and I just hope that they commit to these people for the next few years. It's just that they seem to have a knee-jerk reaction and punt as soon as possible. Whenever things go horribly wrong, the personnel that they've brought in has not really worked out too well, and that's where it's got to start. And I think they got to make a commitment to the younger players and ride them. to the point where, you got to see what you got. Because if you never play them and never see what you got, then you'll never know. And at some point, like I said, you hit rock bottom. There's only one direction you can go. And I think that's just about where they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's this rolling over of coaches, and even at one point, letting Hextall go. Um, it's just really not a good scenario. I don't think Alain Vigneault was given a fair shake when he was brought in. Um, but
Yeah, Bernie had kind of alluded to that as well,
Yep.
last week about it, that, it wasn't really his fault to it. He was a good coach, so.
Yeah, I mean, he had the nucleus of, what I thought was a good system.
Hmm.
Um, there were a ton of injuries. I mean, we can start at the top, with the whole injury scene. Maybe some of those moves weren't, the right moves to begin with. The Ryan Ellis, from Nashville. What did Nashville know that we didn't? You know
Right.
what I mean? And that's probably the biggest.
Even Kevin Hayes, he's been hurt most of the time. He's been here.
Yeah,
He shows flashes when he does play, but he's been hurt a lot as well.
I mean, there's just been just a number of moves that have backfired on the team, and should they have kept Hextall? Bill, you want to handle that?
Well, I'm a Hextall guy.
Right.
And Ron's doing a pretty good job out in Pittsburgh. I know, there's a lot of, I don't know what the word is, between him and Clark. Clark doesn't believe that he did a good job. It all came with that hiring of the coach. I think, the Hextall hiring. I just never understood that. And I think that's where it all started to spiral. And then there came the difference of opinion as to whether they should bring up Hart or not.
Mm-hmm.
And Hextall to this day still believes that they rushed him. And now, how many seasons later, we're still waiting for him to be what he's supposed to be. I guess they're going to get I don't know their draft situation right now, but I'm sure they're getting a pretty good pick. And they got to get a home run. They got to get a sniper. They got to get a guy like Matthews or McKinnon or, one of these big scoring types that,
Right.
can really carry a team, and then put pieces around that type of player, because offensively they just don't have any kind of spark. The defense was a little better this year, but not a whole lot. Of course, Riley got hurt. So again, the acquisitions that they made didn't help, and
Mm-hmm.
the direction was just all wrong. But again, there's only one way you can go from here. It's up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's where we're at. But like you said, do you tear it completely apart? Do you have the nucleus of,
Well,
putting something?
what's there at this point, though? There's not much to tear apart. I mean, you get rid of some of these veteran guys, the Van Riemsdykes, the Hayeses, and just play the young guys, and deal them for draft picks. Get yourself some future. And you know what? If we have to spend another year in the cellar, that's kind of how the whole process happened, right? So we're going to trust the process again with the Flyers. A smart GM can work with those types of pieces. Do we have the right guy for that? I don't know.
Yeah, I personally can't. I can't commit to this GM. Nothing that he has done has shown me that he's the guy.
Right.
Um, I'm just I'm just not there. I'm not on board with him. And I don't know if Danny Briere is the answer. I mean, he's what, a couple of years removed from playing hockey, and he's supposed to be learning, the direction of how to run a team. And now all of a sudden you're going to hand him the keys and make him the GM. I just don't know.
Well, it's a great job to have, because I've been in a situation with coaching where, do you want to come in and take over a team that just won the World Series, or or do you want to come in and take over a team that's a mess?
Right.
And sometimes it's better to take the mess because the expectations for the team that just won it all are so much higher. And you have a lot of pieces to play with this type of situation. And as a GM, you're going to have draft picks. You're going to have the ability to make some moves that people aren't going to question, because why do we need a Kevin Hayes if we're going to be in last place? Why do we need a guy like Graham Reamsdyke? And so he can have some fun with the job. And of course, the Flyers are considered a real solid organization from the history, even though a lot of that history is not here anymore, as we said. But I think they can attract a really high-profile type guy to take that job. Who I was really impressed with? I spent the day, when we had Grant Fuhrer at the store. There's one sharp guy right there. I don't know if he has enough time away from his golf game, but he could make a really good GM, because we talked about almost every team in the league, and he had something to say about the personnel, the history, the way they play, and you could tell he's watching a lot of hockey. And he would be a guy who I think could actually excel at a job like that. And maybe someday he'll be that kind of guy if he has room in his golf game. I don't know.
Yeah, true. No, it's true. He did have a lot of good things to say about a lot of different teams. So
yeah, he's definitely.
By the way, tell Shawnee it's not Bud Light. Come on, dude. Bud Light.
Did we get a Bud sponsor?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
We're not getting Bud Light, that's for sure.
No. Fuhrer told me a story that they had a beer sponsor, because we were talking about the case of Tasty Cakes, the Flyers used to always get. And I asked him, did you guys ever have anything like that where you got a case at something or other? He goes, well, they had a beer sponsor, and the beer sponsor would go through the clubhouse and ask you if you wanted beer. And he's like, sure. So the next day he came home from practice, and there was a pallet of 100 cases of beer in his driveway. And it was like 8 feet high and about 7 feet wide. And it was this huge pallet. And the wife's standing there going, did you buy this beer? Did you order this beer? He's like, no, I didn't order it. They just gave it to me. So they wound up just giving it to the neighbors.
Nice.
Party on Grant.
Exactly. Yep.
So anyway.
Chris Pronger. I don't know. I mean, Shamey sustained an eye injury. He was a hell of a defenseman. I don't know what's he doing in St. Louis, Nick. Is he pretty sure Lane and Kelsey have their? Oh, okay, you're back to beer. Yeah. Lane had Bud wrapped around his finger. That's for darn sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giving out the Budweiser coins the day of the parade.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool. Pronger has zero experience. Yeah, I don't know.
Jack wants the job himself.
Well, you know what, Jack has a full-time job just trying to figure out keeping up with how many pucks now, Jack? 550 some. Yeah, he's got his hands full with his puck collection. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Let's move on.
Hey, wait, before you move on, I just saw I finally figured out how to click the button that say comments.
Oh,
so I was able to read some of, and I saw I guess some of the earlier comments were from Joe down in Florida, and I guess he said his dad played for my grandfather.
Yep.
You know who else was a big fan of my grandfather? And it's Sue's mom. Sue's mom went to Lower Merion and had both my grandfather and my grandmother as teachers.
Oh, no kidding.
Every time I came over for Christmas Eve, I got the 15-minute talk about Lower Merion and her interaction with my grandparents, which was great.
There you go.
There you go. A mama moment. Where's Lauren when you need her?
Mm-hmm.
Memories, right?
Yeah.
Jack, 558 pucks. That's and probably 500 of them this season, right?
Well, 500 of them are Brian props.
But all right, well, I mean, a team that's been in a similar situation as the Flyers just a few years ago, right? They cleaned house a number of times, went through a number of GMs. We're talking 76ers, right?
Yeah.
Is this not reminiscent of what they've gone through?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Same building and all. But yeah, they got things are going in the right direction there.
They finally got it figured out, right?
Yeah, I mean, they might be still a piece or two short right at the moment, but for the championship run, but they like we were saying earlier on the show in the weeks, this is a playoff built team, and the playoff game's a lot different than the regular season games, and when teams are already sitting waiting for you to play and stuff like that, and you could see Harden taking control of the game. Game one, there was 80 the first 80 possessions of the game, no turnovers in the first 80 possessions. And that's pretty remarkable, for that. So,
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, Carl.
No, you're the guest. You're first.
I don't know about adding another couple pieces because the time to win is right now, and this is the year, and they have enough pieces right now. It's just a matter of whether they perform well or not. And I think what you've seen in the first two games of the Toronto series really captures what they were trying to put together. Because if you're going to go ahead and double and triple Embiid, other people are going to beat you. And that's what Harden was brought in to do. Now, as a byproduct, it allowed Maxey to also do the same type of thing. And now Maxey is flourishing because the other two are on the floor with him. And Tobias has done a great job as well. So when they're all on firing cylinders and the defense is dumb enough to triple team one of the guys, and if they don't triple team Embiid, he beats you. It was Maxey in game one. It was Embiid in game two. Who's going to be the guy tonight? But it's been a real team effort. And Harden hasn't played his two best games, in the last two games. He just wasn't real good. He was okay, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't the real James Harden. So I'm looking to see a really good performance from James tonight and in game four. I don't know that we can count on Maxey for that kind of performance, but it's sure great to see. But again, it's a matter of the defense not being able to take care of everybody. And that's what they brought in Harden for, because they wanted to make it so that there was such a mismatch that you can't cover everybody at one time.
Right. Well, that's what Shawnee's, comment was. Everybody needs to know their role. You know what I mean? And, they just seem to be, like you said a couple minutes ago, firing on all cylinders. They just, and John has talked about this, I think, all year. They were just waiting for the playoffs. They were just going through the motions. The big fella was doing his thing. But it just seems like, as it got closer and closer, he just turned it up a notch.
Well, the thing, Toronto doesn't match up well with the Sixers. They really don't. They got to beat you on outside shooting. Van Fleet has to go, off every night. Siakam's being guarded by Tobias most of the time.
Right.
And you've got Embiid not getting fouls that way. Well, when it's the other way around, they're trying to guard Embiid with Boucher or Anunoby or one of the other guys and just basically saying, here, we got 18 fouls between three guys, and we'll let you beat me from the line, but we're not going to get, 3-point plays and things like that. And they just can't stop him. So they have to double and they have to triple. And when they do, the other guys are beating them. Right. There were times in the regular season when he was getting double and triple teamed that the other guys weren't beating him or weren't scoring. And Tobias was one example of that. But it seems like Tobias is settling into a role where, he's taking what he's given and he's making the best of his opportunities. And he's also been a very big part of the second unit. A lot of times when Embiid and Harden are not on the floor, Tobias is the one that's actually the focal point of the offense. And he has to be, because you can't rely on some of these other guys to be your scorers, Yang and whoever else is out there, Reed or whatever, Milton even. Milton, he's a scorer too. But again, Tobias is making big time money, and he's going to need to prove that he's worth that kind of money. And helping that second unit is really where it's going to pay off. Because you can't have the first team get up by 15, by the time the second team's done, be down by 2. That doesn't work.
Right. No, it's been interesting to see some of the bench players, the Paul Reeds, the Shake Miltons, even Korkmaz, you know what I mean? Danny Green, when he's healthy, he's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Danny had a big game too. Those threes he was hitting were really backbreakers for Toronto, and they never looked back.
Plus his defense.
Well, of course, his defense. And they're not going to have Thibault tonight, so Danny's going to have to pick up some extra D. And, I really liked the way Maxey played Van Fleet, even though Van Fleet was on fire. I really liked the way he chinned up to him. I mean, he was in his face to the point of annoyance. You could tell Van Fleet was like annoyed by the fact that Maxey was playing such good defense. And Maxey was smart enough not to get himself in foul trouble. And, a lot of the Toronto guys aren't that smart for some reason. And they're still missing that one guy tonight. I can't remember his name, the really good rookie. I think he might still be out tonight. He was doubtful, listed as doubtful. Barnes. And he's a huge part of that team. They don't have Kyle Lowry anymore. So Barnes has to pick up the scoring for him, and Siakam can't do it all. Siakam's had a really good series so far. And if he has a bad game, they're going to lose by 40. They're not going to just lose by 20. So I'm excited. The one series I'm having the biggest trouble watching is the Boston Jersey series Brooklyn. Yeah. The Boston Brooklyn series. I don't know who to root for. I mean, who would it doesn't matter that one of them's going to get bounced, which is great. But then, one of them's going to advance, and I don't know who I'd rather play because Boston's really hot right now. And of course, Brooklyn's got the big 2. So,
yeah, I think we match it a little bit better with Boston. But
I think we do. But Tatum and Brown are so tough.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Neither one's going to be taught.
The old Sixer Celtic days, right?
Well, you know what though, with Boston, and I think you're right, Johnny. I think Boston's the team that we need to root for because they don't have anybody that can cover Embiid.
Right.
Robert Williams is out, and
Horford.
Daniel Tice, Horford, none of those guys are going to be able to stop him, and they're going to have to do the old triple and double type thing, and the same thing should happen. They're very similar in their makeup to Toronto. So, yeah, I would like to see Brooklyn get bounced out of here just because then we don't have to worry about them, with all the hype and all the other garbage that's surrounding that team. When they beat us that one game and really soundly beat us, those 2 players were on fire. Okay, so Durant and Kyrie had career nights. Not that they don't have more than one career night, but they could have beaten anybody that night by 20 or 30. And it was just their night. And it just happened to be the same night that the Sixers were terrible. And all the stars were aligned, and that's why we lost that game by so much. That doesn't mean that the next time we go out, we're not going to beat them. So, but, Drummond has the ability to cover Embiid somewhat. He's going to pick up fouls. He's going to get in foul trouble, but they also have other backup centers too. So that's why I think Jersey would be a tougher matchup than Boston. But
yeah, it's kind of weird how the whole thing works because Boston matches up better with Brooklyn. We match up better against Boston than Brooklyn. So it's kind of like let them do the dirty work and beat up Brooklyn for us, and then we'll take on the Heat, and then we'll meet them in the.
Right, it's because Brooklyn's center is not an offensive threat.
Right.
And they don't have to worry about as much as they would with us. So, yeah,
I
hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's, it's just so exciting, when you got the nucleus of, the whole process that's all come together all of a sudden, this season and, the excitement in the city, the sellout at the Wells Fargo Center, and then, you mix in, you sprinkle in a Maxey and a Paul Reed, rookies that, like they've become such a big part of the team all of a sudden.
Right.
And the fans, the fans in Philly, they rally behind their guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We've been rallying behind Embiid for how many years now, and now we're finally getting rewarded, with some good playoff basketball. Should be a good run. with the Raptors and whoever we get next. It should be. It's fun. It's fun when your teams are winning.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
Jack actually asked a really great question about whether a championship, anything less than a championship, would that be okay? I think they have to go to the finals. I think for everybody to be somewhat satisfied, not that they would be happy to lose in the finals, but I think getting to the NBA finals, not the conference finals, is ultimately the goal here for sure. And I think they have the team that can do it, only because of the big man. I mean, you take
Right.
Embiid out of this process, and it's
You
not
got
going to
nothing.
work.
Right.
But yeah, I like the team, and I couldn't understand why fans were getting so negative on the whole team down the stretch. And they lost those 3 games in a row, and it's like, come on. Right when the deal was made, they won those couple games, and everybody was like delirious. It was so great. What a trade. We got rid of the bum and we got Harden. Oh man, we really pulled and now they're like, Harden sucks. He's not like he used to be. We're not going to go and we're not even going to beat Toronto. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Enough.
But do you think the Sixers kind of slow played it so that they to get into their position, the seeding wise in the playoffs and kind of played enough, but lost the games on purpose.
If they did and it worked out the way they wanted, well then hats off to them.
Right.
I don't know that they did or not. They wound up with a good matchup, but a lot of stuff happened on the last game of the season that really developed into who played who, and it wasn't necessarily in our control. So I don't know. I mean, I think there was some resting down the stretch that was necessary, and maybe because of that, they lost a game or two that they shouldn't have, because you can't play Embiid 42 minutes in a game against Cleveland, and that doesn't mean that much. So I really think that there was some backpedaling involved. And I think there's also a part that, sometimes down the stretch like that, you don't want to show your best hands.
Right.
You want to go ahead and just play a vanilla game and see what happens. If we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. We're still going to be in. It doesn't really matter. They definitely needed home court advantage. They wanted to be in the top 4 for that.
Right.
But beyond that, I don't know that they really cared who they played too much.
Yeah.
So.
John, you're grinning from ear to ear. I can see it from here because that's you were talking. I think the whole second half of the season like that.
Yeah, I mean that's I think like you said, Bill, they're built to win now. And so for them it was just a matter of getting like you said, home court advantage, and you're going to eventually have to play the teams that you're going to have to play anyway. So let's try to.
But it's really nice. It's really nice that one of them, I'm pouring a beer, as you can tell, that Boston or New Jersey is not going to be on that list. One of them, going to get eliminated, which is great.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't even know how the thing matches up for our next round and who we would play if we win. In fact, I probably shouldn't even go there. I'm knocking wood. But
probably the Heat. It looks like we should be playing the Heat.
As good as they seem to be playing, I don't know how they're doing it. I really don't. I know they've gotten a bunch of players back, but they just seem to be a really dynamic group together when they're all together. And, they have scoring from about 5 different directions. So they are going to be a tough out, but we'll see. One game at a time, right?
Right. And then Milwaukee and Boston will have to play each other. So that'll hopefully, eliminate one of those guys as well. So
yeah, that's helpful because Milwaukee is the one that I don't think we match up real well with.
Yeah, no, a little bit, yes, but I think what that was before the Harden factor came in, and I think it'll be a little bit closer, but like you said, yeah, that's going to be a tough.
Well, what you got to look at is does the other team have a big man that can actually cover Embiid, and they have Brook Lopez, and Lopez has always given Embiid some trouble, and they certainly can put Giannis on him or have Giannis be the double, but they don't want to do that. Much like we don't have Embiid cover their big guy, we have Tobias do that because we don't want Embiid to get those fouls. They do the same thing with Giannis. They keep Giannis on somebody else so he doesn't pick up fouls. And Lopez is smart enough and veteran enough that he can play a full game and not get himself in foul trouble.
Right.
All right, real quick, because it's we're
Breaking
we're
news.
we're way past our half hour updates for our sponsors, but I've got a very important question for our guest. I know the second half of the question, the answer. What is your favorite beer? Uh, what is your favorite ice cream?
Oh, well, it's actually butter almond, and a close second would be mint chocolate chip.
Wow,
And it's got to be the green mint chocolate chip. It can't be the white
wow.
mint chocolate chip.
How can you
Okay.
go from mint chocolate chip to what, butter? What?
Butter almond, Breyer's butter almond. You got to try it.
What?
Oh, it's the best. Breyer's butter almond. Where's my mom? She's not on here. Jeez, she could tell you that.
Oh,
You know what I'm going to have to do next time I'm on? I'm going to make up 10 questions or 15 questions to see if how well you guys know me.
Bring it on, big fella.
butter
Bring it
almond.
on. Bring it on. Couple of weeks. We'll see you next week at Hanrahan's with
Lou
our
Nolan.
special guest Lou Nolan celebrating 50 years of announcing Flyers hockey. I can't wait for those stories.
How
Joe
great was
Stinger's
that?
agreeing
How
with
great
you.
was that ceremony and them recognizing the whole thing? You know, I was a little disappointed that Lou didn't get into the Flyers Hall of Fame this year. I thought he was an obvious choice, but I guess there's just a lot of choices out there. But I'm hopeful that he'll get in next year. And Bernie seemed to think that was a good idea too. So it'll be cool to have another ceremony for Lou down the road.
Mama Jill jumped on butter pecan.
No, butter almond, Mom. Butter almond.
Okay. Cookies and cream from Nick. Buttered almond is the best. Joe
Cookies and cream.
Stinger.
By the way, I don't eat a lot of ice cream.
No?
No, I'm
You,
really
you
not.
you seem to light up like a Christmas tree as soon as I mentioned
Well, that's because I gave you that question to ask me.
it. You're not supposed to give that away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's behind the scenes information.
Yikes.
I said,
Yikes.
okay, so everybody understands. I said to him, hey, listen, I hope Johnny's got some really tough questions for me this week because, you know, I'm really ready to be challenged. Like, what's my favorite ice cream? You know, and that's where that came from.
I was just taking it easy on you week one.
Okay.
It takes a couple of weeks before I lay into
Did
it.
you catch that week one?
Oh, is this a regular thing?
Oh,
I have to get my agent to get in touch with you. Sue Henderson, and Sean Wayne, and they're my agents.
have your agent call my agent.
Yeah. I'm represented by this Sue's View and the Sean Wayne Foundation.
Boy, what a trio that is.
Yeah.
I didn't say treat, I said trio. Hey, moving on. Eagles draft
Yes,
week
Thursday
away
night.
next Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any insight? Who they taking? Any ideas? I mean, I know how he likes to, play poker, but he's got a trade brewing with San Francisco. I mean, any validity to that? I mean, is that going to go down?
Trying to get the. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, it'd be a nice player to get, Debu Samuel. It'd be nice.
You're not going to draft a player at 15 or wherever they landed at this point that's better than Samuel. So if they could pull that off, that would be something. I don't want to see them give away too much, though. I mean, to me, and Carl, you got a chance to listen to Johnny Gates last week when we were together. Johnny and I have gone over this draft for the last 3 months, and he's been like daily taking in all the different mock drafts, and he knows everybody. So Thursday night, I'll be next to him, and he'll be able to tell me, who's going to take who, I think. But ultimately, they need to address the linebacker position, which they have already in some free agent signings. But then there's also the defensive line and defensive secondary. So there's one word that is included in all three of those: defense, and defense. Okay. And we've been around the rosy with these wide receivers. They're driving me crazy with these picking of the wide receivers. But I wouldn't be opposed to getting a really, really good wide receiver. But I personally, there's two linebackers that are worthy of taking at 15 or 16 or whatever we are. And then after that, it's a matter of who falls to us. because there's a lot of wacky stuff that could happen in the top 10 picks. And it's a matter of who takes a quarterback and who doesn't. Because every time somebody that was supposed to take a quarterback doesn't, they're taking another player off the board that maybe we could have been taking. Right. So if all of a sudden 3 quarterbacks go in the top 15 picks, well, there should be a bonanza of stuff available. And they're probably going to be sorry that they traded out of that first round pick for the future pick, which, by the way, I love that trade. So, but I think it's going to be an exciting night. I'd hate to see him put the 2 picks together for 1 pick up further. Like I don't want to trade up and have 1 pick. I love the fact that we have 2 picks because we have so many needs and they're going to need to cover these needs. And I also don't believe that the player that's going to get taken at 3 or 4 is that much better than the guy that's going to go at 15 or 16. I think you could put them all in a bag, shake them up, and pull somebody out, and you'd be okay with that. That's how. When I say the draft is deep, that's what I mean by being deep. In that you don't have many superstars as you may have in previous drafts, but you've got real solid players all the way up to like 30, 35, and even into the second round, you're going to wind up getting some really good players too. But I just would hate to see them go off the board and take
a Jalen Reagor,
a running back. Okay, I don't want a running back. Okay, or another Jalen Reagor, but I do want to see a linebacker and a D back, or a linebacker and a defensive line. I think they're going to go with that real big guy from Georgia if he's still on there, as far as the defensive lineman, and then there's a linebacker out of Utah. Those are the 2 guys that I have kind of checked off that if they're there, those would be the 2 guys I would take.
John, who you doing any draft watching? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of wide receiver talk. So maybe, like you said, if that Deebo Samuel trade comes about, that might eliminate a little bit of that, and then that'll leave only 1 pick though left because you're going to be using 1 basically for him. I don't know, Bill. What do you think? Is it worth spending the $20 million that it's going to take to sign Samuels, because he's holding out now with the 49ers? I mean, if you're going to do that, that means that you're going to have Jalen Hurts or another quarterback next year as a rookie type of quarterback, just because you're not going to be able to pay Hurts big money as well. So that's kind of.
Well, the way that the NFL contracts work enable teams to sign their own players a lot easier than if they go out and sign somebody that's a free agent. So I'm sure they can find a way to work the money out as far as Samuel's concerned. And I don't know that they're going to have to pay Hurts a whole lot next year to keep him here, unless he has some kind of incredible season. I kind of in the mode where I'll worry about that down the road. I'm not going to really be concerned. That is part of the reason why they made that deal for the first round pick to go to a future first rounder, because they didn't want to have 3 first rounders in one season that they're going to pay 3 years from now. So yes, you got to keep an eye on the future, but you're also trying to do whatever you can to make your team really good right now. And I think, Samuel is a very special talent. I mean, here's a guy who was one of the top wide receivers, and they converted him into a running back because they had lost like 3 running backs off their roster to injury, and they didn't have anybody else. And he became one of the best running backs in the league.
True.
I mean, he's just that good. And whenever you have a chance to get a talent that's that good, who's proven to be durable, I just think that it's something that, you want to go ahead and get, assuming they don't have to give up the farm. I wouldn't give 2 1s and a 2 for him or something like that. I would give up maybe 1 1. That's it. Maybe a 1 and maybe a 2 later from next year or 2 years.
They were talking multiple picks, not number 1 picks, but you might have to give up 3 or 4 other draft picks throughout the sprinkled out for.
Well, I'm hoping that they're
like 3rd, 5th rounders, something like that.
Like again, he is a really great player, and put him next to the other receivers that we have at the moment. He actually gives you a serious weapon. That
he might be the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Well, no, true. I mean, like you said, and plus it also helps the running back situation out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's my only thought. Fear about it is giving up those draft picks, but then also having to pay them the $20 million to be able to have the flexibility to help the defense. Because, like you said, there's more defensive needs that we need right at the moment. Not that we don't need another wide receiver as well, but if there's a comparable wide receiver in that first or 15th or 19th pick that we have, would it be or better to get them and you have 5 years of control at a cheaper price than getting a Samuel?
Yeah, but like Bill mentioned, and we've talked about
Not
it.
as big of an impact.
You're close. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? You're close. The division's horrible.
Right.
You don't know. You
There's
got to
no
go.
there's
You
no
got to go for it.
comparable receiver to Samuel
No,
in this
no,
draft. So
no. No,
if
that
you
gives
can,
you instant depth. That's with two number one picks. What is it, 15 and 19, I
Yeah,
believe.
15 and 19. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can somehow, persuade them to take 19, you keep your 15 pick to get your defensive player, at 15 and come away with Samuel and giving up the 19. They got a slew of other picks.
Oh yeah.
Um, that just works for me. But hey, real quick, since we've been on, the wire is fired up. Jay Wright is talking about retiring.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that's the best coach. Bill Mattis, you need to get in your car and drive to the campus and drop that resume right there. I mean, seriously. I mean, Jay Wright, what's going on? What would cause this?
well, I think the first question is, what else does he need to do to prove himself?
Yeah, but longevity, just like
He's
Coach
probably,
K
you
and
know how much money he probably has banked, and he seems like one of those down to earth guys that doesn't need to be frivolous and spending money left and right. So he's probably banked quite a bit of coin over the last however many years it's been.
what's he going to do? What's he going to do with his time?
He's going to retire. He's going to watch from the 7th row and just cheer and do this. And he doesn't have to. He can go home after the game. He doesn't have to worry about talking to players and press. And he's got his own family. I remember the whole concern about him going to the NBA that one year was because his daughter was playing sports and I don't know how many kids he has and that kind of stuff. But I guess as a coach, you get to a point where you've accomplished it all. He's reached the pinnacle. The only other thing that I could see him maybe wanting to do would be in coaching in the NBA, but he clearly has said that he doesn't want to do that.
He doesn't want to do it.
Right. And he is the best coach in college basketball right now and has been for the last 5 years, in my opinion. And I've never seen a guy do more with less. And talk about role players. He's the perfect recruiter. He recruits pieces. He recruits, okay, this guy's going to be my point guard. This guy's going to be my big man. This guy's going to be, and then he finds other guys that compete with those people to be in the situation too. And it just falls together perfectly. And I think a lot of it has to do with also the players' attitudes. He finds the right guys that are team players that are not going to be going to the NBA in 1 year. They're not going to be going jumping ship as fast as possible. He did that a couple times. Was that him or was that the guy before him with the Tim Thomas? And
Yeah.
Was that the guy before him or was that
might have been two before him.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
The problem
he's doing commentating for college basketball.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Kentucky has a brand new team every year because all their guys go pro, and that works for them, but it doesn't work on the main line. So, like I said, he's done so much with so little. And I guess maybe at some point you just go, you know what? I don't want to run myself into the ground anymore. I could see it.
Wow. Interesting conversation, Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We never thought he would be leaving, to be honest. We were talking about that here. Like he could have a lifetime contract.
Oh, no doubt.
He basically does. I mean, he's their coach for life as long as he wants to be there. He'd really have to do something bad to get bounced out of that place.
Right.
Now, my guess is he probably has somebody handpicked, one of his assistants or somebody else that he would want to see them give the job to. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't leave because, when you have a commitment to those kids that you drafted, that you recruited, I mean, I feel the same way with the ninth and 9th and 10th graders that I coach. If I was to say to them next year, hey, I'm not coaching this year, I'm going to go and do something else, I feel like I would be letting them down. So that's why, and in Jay's situation, I'm sure he's going to want to have somebody who has taken a larger role within practice, has been more hands-on with the players, and they would be comfortable making that transition to that person. I don't think he would just leave and say, hey, I'm out. Goodbye.
Right.
Yeah, that's not the Jay way.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, again, I hate to move the show along so quickly because these are great hot topics that we could talk for hours about. But the Phillies won a day game today.
They did.
The bats came alive. Thoughts? They're off. They're off tomorrow. First off day all season.
I'm gonna quote a genius. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I read that on John O'Brien's page, or one of his comments.
I love you, Bill.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And, it's the teams that are well put together and have, veteran players in the right situation and youth players in the other situation. It's a team that's built for the long run. It's not necessarily going to be all about the first 25 games or 30 games. Would it be great to go out and be 25-5? Of course it would, but It doesn't always work out that way. And when you have hitters the way that this team does, they're going to be hot. They're going to be cold. You just hope that they don't all get cold together. You hope that one or two of them can, it's a nice mix of lefties and righties. So you would think that one night the lefties will have a big night, and the next night the righties will have a big night. And you're talking about guys that are some of the top power hitters in the game with Castellanos and Schwarber and Harper. And they're guys that can really hit the ball. And the pitching so far, knock wood, has not been awful. I mean, it's not been awful, but the relief pitching, which is one of my major concerns every year, has been pretty decent so far, knocking wood.
Mm-hmm.
Knocking a lot of wood.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, a long season, but it's also those guys they've been there. The only problem so far, they've been cold all at the same time. Not getting the big hits. Like you're saying, all you need is one or two of them to have good games every night. Doesn't have to be the same guy. Mix it up throughout the lineup. And it's just like. They got a lot of guys on base, so they're which goes to show you that, hey, they're close. It's just a matter of getting those couple of knocks here and there.
Well, I kind of like to flash forward to July and August when it's 96 degrees down at the park and the ball is jumping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got the lineup to deal with that type of scenario. It's 45 degrees. It's kind of cold and windy, and it's not really comfy out. I mean, sure, they can still hit in that, but I'm just saying, I think that the stretch run through late June, July, August, that's when you're going to see the best of this team. The only thing I don't like a whole lot, and I'm not a huge fan of the manager, but the only thing I don't like is his lineups. I mean, conventional wisdom is that you have a guy lead off that can get on base, even if he's not fast. And then you put a left-hander in the 2-hole, because then if the guy's on base, the first baseman has to hold him on, and that opens up the gap. Mm-hmm. There's just certain things that are conventional that he just refuses to do. And to put Schwarber in the leadoff hole, or last year or 2 years ago, we had Hoskins leading off. And Real Muto, why would you put JT in the leadoff spot? Segura should be our leadoff guy, in my opinion, and you should have Schwarber hitting 2 and Harper hitting 3. And then, Castellanos would hit 4. That's the obvious lineup, but he just doesn't want to seem to do what's obvious. He always wants to mess with things and be tricky. I don't get it, but he's Joe Girardi, so he's allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of that, and Carl and I talk about it here at the store, it's like, I think a lot of it's analytic driven. We've shown that we have a bad analytic department here in Philadelphia. It's just, Gabe Kapler was here and he looked horrible, and then the next year he goes out to San Francisco and has a better analytic department, better general managers and better organization, and he wins 107 games. Does he become a genius overnight, or just flying to the West Coast, or was it stuff behind the scenes that helped him out? And then you got Girardi doing the exact same things that Kapler was doing, and it just like, it just seems like there's something, behind the scenes with the organization that's causing that.
I just have a problem when people want to try to reinvent the game. The game's been around so long. I know that the rules are different to an extent, and you have DH now, and there's all sorts of other stuff that's going on, but just conventional stuff. Like I said, you have a guy who gets on base a lot. What does Segura hit last year? 3 something. So you put him in the leadoff spot. He gets on base. You have Schwarber now batting with the big hole on the right side. And then you have Harper behind him. It's a 3-run homer or a double in the gap, and you got 2 runs right off the bat. It's easy. It's so easy, but he has to make it so difficult. Let's put Muriel Muto in the leadoff.
Yeah.
Why? Because you can slow up the bases because you want your catcher on there. I know it's not that slow, but I'm just saying, it's just sometimes it seems to me like coaches and managers. Did you see Joe Madden walk somebody with the bases loaded?
Yeah, Corey Seager.
Do you know what that word is? Stupid. It's stupid. He was dumb. I almost feel like he didn't even know the bases were loaded, and he gave the 4 pass, and then he had to cover for it. I mean, just to do something because you feel like doing it is wrong. You got to go by the book. There's a thing called the book, and they got to go with the book more than they do analytics. Okay, and we used analytics when I was younger. Okay, righties hit better off of lefties pretty much, And if you look in the book and the guy has 3 hits off the guy, that's pitching, well, maybe when the 4th time he comes up, he shouldn't face that pitcher. You change pitchers. That's the book. That's analytics. Okay, we did analytics. Yep. Just not to the point where I have to have every little step recorded as to what I've done for the last 6 years. Sometimes I think they outthink themselves and not
no doubt.
Go with their gut. Charlie Manuel would make moves from his gut.
Right.
And look how that worked out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's for sure. And on a good note, though.
She's really pushing for the Sue's View thing.
You have created a monster.
It was Sean's idea. It wasn't mine.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. Nope.
I say we do it.
Yeah. Well, take it to another hour, another night, another planet.
See, does Sean know how to hook up all the stuff? Because I don't know how to do that.
Shawnee can do it all.
Guy? Is he Shawnee a tech? Yeah.
Let you, Sue, and Shawnee, play with the wires.
Well, Lauren's coming with us, so
Oh no,
she's not.
No.
Either city just filling.
You can have Anthony, but you can't have Lauren.
I don't know. I think Lauren's pretty loyal to her mom, so might have to split her time.
Yeah, now you're starting trouble.
Yeah.
Now you're starting trouble.
And poor Lauren doesn't even know we're talking about her.
Oh, I'm sure she's watching the show, or she'll watch it tonight, one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But
hey,
on a good note, Alec Boehm's hitting the ball like crazy.
I had Alec in the car. I drove him from Valley Forge to the airport, and we had a chance to really talk about stuff. And I tried to put him together with Matt Stairs down in spring training when Matt was down there for Dream Week or whatever they call that thing.
Right.
And he was actually interested in getting together with Matt and talking about hitting just to get another view. And the one thing he said to me was, last year I hit 246 or whatever it was. He goes, do you know what the league average was? And I'm like, 246. And he goes, it was actually less than 246. He said, so I was average. I wasn't that bad. And I'm still learning. I'm getting better. And I'm trying to do whatever I can to continue to get better each at bat. And, he seemed very grounded. He seemed down to earth. He seemed like he had a good attitude about wanting to help the team win whenever way he could, whether it was playing third base or whatever. And he was willing to really listen to other people tell him what he should be doing. And I just like I went into the conversation not being a huge fan. I must tell you, I was just like, I'm not sure about this guy. He's got a big hole in his swing. But after listening to him and having a chance to talk to him, I actually have become a fan, and I'm glad to see he had a great game today. And he is. You can see the confidence coming. Those young guys, they get buried if they start out poorly. You go 1 for 18, and man, you start doing the math. What did a hit do for me? Now 2 for 19, I'm going to be hitting 112 instead of 087. You start making those thoughts in your mind. How many hits do I have to do to just get back to 250? When you're down one. So it's really good that he's getting more and more confidence. And how about the job Camargo did today? And I'm not a big Ruben Romero guy either, but Ruben said that was one of the best non-celebratory signings that the team did. Camargo was a starting third baseman 2 years ago or 3 years ago with the Braves.
Yeah.
And to have him as a player who can come off the bench or even be a starter at third is a really great asset. We haven't had bench players like that. We always get that guy who can play 17 positions but can't hit. That's ever since Steve Jeltz and Martinez and all those other guys, Nick Punto, those are guys I could never understand. They could play 7 positions, but they couldn't do any of them good. So, a guy like Camargo, I think, is a real big asset.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that goes back to GMs. Dabrowski, knowing the league, and that's a small little move that is going to help out a lot with this team.
Well, you talked earlier about owners that are committed to their team and whether we have a couple. Look, you can't look any further than the Sixers and the Phillies. Those guys have done what they've needed to do to try to put their teams in the best chance to win.
They have. And
you can't argue that they didn't make the right moves. You could talk about the Eagles to an extent, but I don't think there's I think he wants to win too. But what the moves that the Sixers have made and the Phillies have made is basically pushing the chips in and saying we're all in. Right. And we listen to you. We're going to go get the guys that we need. Here we go. Let's make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Well, all our chips are used up. We've overextended our hour.
Oh, I got 7 minutes of overtime, right?
Yeah, it's been a great show. It's been an awesome show.
Who writes the check? By the way, does that come from Sue or
check?
The check for my appearance tonight.
Check.
There's your written check.
Oh, cash is fine too. Cash is fine.
There's your written check. It's signed.
We'll. I'll have my agent get back to your agent. But hey, always great having you.
Yep.
You're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate that. And the other thing you said earlier, when we were talking about your history and stuff, our family considers your family to be family. And, Christine, Jack, my mom, Fran, everybody, and the girls, they want to go over to Carl's when it's Easter. They want to go to Carl's when it's Christmas. And, what you guys have done for my family over the years with Will and everything, it's been amazing. And I would be a total jerk if I wasn't this way with you, because, it's been a great relationship. It's always going to be going forward. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry the rest of our lives.
For sure.
It's always great to be around.
Yeah, good time. Hopefully a lot more better times in the future for sure.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll see you next week out at Hanrahan's. That's right down the street from you, so there's no excuses.
Well, I'm at practice until 5:30, but then after that I'll be over.
No excuses. No excuses. The beer is cold, and wow. Kyle Neptune to take Jay Wright's job. This thing really accelerated fast. Like
out of Fordham.
Assistant?
No, he's out of Fordham.
No, he's the head coach at Fordham.
Is that where Jay came from?
That's where Jay came from.
So that's where it is, yeah.
How about that, huh?
Yeah.
The wings are good too. The wings at Hanrahan's, or
yep.
we only go to places that have good food and cold beer.
Right.
So, and our major sponsor, City Distilling. If you haven't checked them out, the vodka and lemonade is highly recommended.
Yes.
Gets me every time. But I'm looking forward to having you back on. I believe our next date might be May 4th, so you can have your agent call my agent. Um, we'll see
Well,
what we can.
we'll see what those first. You'll see what those first 12 choices are doing, and then we'll go to me if we have to.
Johnny, you got anything to close with? I know it was we're already 10 minutes past, but who cares?
Exactly. We run the show here. But if you're not doing anything April 30th, stop by here at Carl's Cards on between 1 and 3. You got Lane Johnson will be sitting here. He'll be a little bit bigger than I am, but sitting here, and we'll be he'll be signing autographs and get all that Super Bowl memorabilia signed that you may have, and come out and meet a great offensive lineman for the Eagles. And
I got to get you those images I have. I remember I forgot to tell you.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So.
Well, thank you, everyone. I hope these Jay Wright rumors are not true.
Right.
I hate to see him. I hate to see him leave Villanova. I think he is. He's just all that. I mean, these kids that he's brought in they look up to him, and that's huge.
Yeah.
There's only ever going to be one Jay Wright. So, but if that's his choice, we'll have to have him on This Fan's View and have him tell us about it.
Exactly. We'll get down to the bottom of the scoop.
There you go. Billy, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon. And Johnny, thanks again for producing and holding the fort down.
No problem.
Hopefully we get Lauren and Anthony back soon. Mario is, like I said, he's building hospitals in Sarasota, so he's busier than expected. But I'll see everybody next week at Hanrahan's. Come on out and have fun with us.
Yes. Sounds
18,
great.
18 minutes to Sixers. Go Sixers, right?
There you go. Go
Absolutely.
Sixers.
3-0.
There you go. Play the song, Johnny.
Play it song.
Thanks, guys.